This is Andy Parole for ID Boxing. We are here at the Drum in Wembley, and I'm joined by promoter Eddie Hearn. Eddie, it's a rarity to be able to sit down with you.
I just thought, I'm so tired of standing up, man. I've been on the road for 3 weeks, so we're back, and I thought we'd have a sit-down interview. Probably gives you more time.
I should hope so.
Good for you. Good for you.
Eddie, obviously Katie Taylor returns on Saturday night, her 7th undisputed title defence, soon after Ireland's women's team won 7 titles at the European Championships. Just in your kind of thought process, how influential has she been over Irish sports, not just the female side of things, but sports in general?
Well, there's 2 things for this. I mean, firstly, I can see Wembley Arena there. 7 years ago or 6 years ago, she debuted there and she headlined on her debut. And I have to be honest, we were laughed out of town. Like the amount of stick we took about putting a female fighter on, anyway, but a female fighter headlining on a card. And it's unbelievable to see where we are now, where it's the thing to do is get involved with women's boxing. You know, but all those years of pushing the barriers, letting Katie Taylor take centre stage, and she's the one that's done, listen, I've been a small part of it. And being the greatest is not just about your achievements. It's about everything that comes with it. It's about the boundaries that you break. It's about the paths that you tread that others have not trodden before. It's about being an ambassador, being a role model. And she's like, what she's done, I mean, firstly, she's making her 7th undisputed world title defence. You know, she's also the resume and the fighters that she's been through, unifying the divisions, fighting champions. But also, people talk about Olympic gold medals. If it wasn't for Katie Taylor, boxing wouldn't be in the Olympics. She campaigned to the IOC. She had a fight in front of the IOC to convince them to put boxing in the Olympics. And you know, just the role that she's played to get it to where it is today. She's incredible. And, of course, from the Irish standpoint, which is what your question was, I mean, we talk about an event at Croke Park. That will go down as one of the biggest moments in the history of Irish sport. She's an icon, and that word gets used a lot. But that's the perfect word. Legend's another good word, but icon is a great word for Katie Taylor.
Katie's made no secret about her desire to fight at Croke Park, as you've mentioned there already. How confident are you that can be delivered next year, and also what level of opponent would it have to be to make it viable in your eyes?
It has to be a big fight. You know, it has to be Amanda Serrano. It has to be a Holly Holm. Listen, next week, I think you've got a fight that could top them all in Chantel Cameron against Jessica McCaskill for undisputed. You know, McCaskill never gets the prop she deserves. She fought Katie Taylor years back in a good fight. She won a world title at 140. She unified at 140. She moved up to fight Brackhouse. She became undisputed at 147. Now she's dropping back down to 140 to fight undisputed. She could be a 2-time undisputed champion. Chantel Cameron is an unbelievable fighter that has so much potential. And next week she gets her chance at greatness. If she becomes undisputed, Taylor against Cameron's a big fight. You know, Taylor against McCaskill is a big fight. You've got big fights. But the Serrano rematch is the one that I just feel like is the one for Croke Park. You know, it's the one that when I'm booking that stadium, I know it puts every bum on every seat in there. And it's just, you know, the first fight was so good, I just really want to see it again.
Would that be easy to negotiate with Jake after his most recent outburst?
Yeah, I think that they realise that sometimes when you have a close fight like that, I mean, normally the winner doesn't want to do the rematch straight. Katie Taylor was asking to do the rematch because she enjoyed it so much. But normally the opponent, you know, they feel like it was a close fight. You know, maybe they feel like they should have got the decision. Most don't. But they do understand that going to Croke Park is a tough ask, you know. I mean, but she's the challenger, and also it's the chance to be involved in something. Forget where it is, of just the greatest spectacle women's sport will ever see, and not women's boxing, women's sport. I mean, you're right up there with some of the greatest moments. And also, it's a ginormous payday, right? And it's nice to try and become undisputed at 126. By the way, we have the remaining champion there in Erica Cruz Hernandez. But the money's just, it pales into significance in terms of the Taylor Serrano rematch. And ultimately, this sport is about legacy, achievements, and money, and this can deliver all of those.
Eddie, just looking at some of the undercard fights for Saturday night, Jordan Gill, Kiko Martinez, a great fight, but what obstacles lie ahead for Jordan Gill in that fight? How much more does Kiko Martinez have left?
More than enough is the answer. You know, you're talking about a guy who has knocked out Kid Galahad, who has broke Josh Warrington's jaw in a great fight, and you're talking about Jordan Gill, who is still yet to prove he's world level, right? Kiko Martinez is miles above European level, which is where Jordan Gill is at the moment. This is going to be a treacherous fight for Jordan Gill because Kiko's so up for it. And Jordan Gill will pepper him. He will box his ear rolls off. He will get walked down. He will get walked down. And he has to find a way to try and close the show and keep him off him. Easier said than done. Kiko will be attacking the body. He'll be there with his head. He'll be winging the right hands over the top. He's a very, very dangerous fighter. This is a 50-50 fight. Tremendous fight.
Just walk me through the rest of the card, Eddie, from your perspective, because we do have to move on as well.
Ellie Scottney in a great fight. She's fighting European champion Mary Romero. That fight's to become mandatory for the IBF world title. Gary Cully in a great fight. I think it's 17-0 against 16-0. Two undefeated lightweights as Gary looks to, continue his charge for a world title. Johnny Fisher in a good step up as well. Obviously, massive support for him. It's going to be a big crowd there on Saturday night. Really good fight on the Before the Bell main event between Ellison and Thomas Whittaker-Hart. Really good domestic title fight for the light heavyweight championship. John Hedges, Jordan Thompson, pro debut of Maisie Rose as well. Top to bottom, really good card, and of course headlined by the legend of women's boxing.
Jordan Thompson or Jordan Reynolds?
Did I say Thompson? Yeah. Apologies, Jordan Reynolds.
Eddie,
Perfect. I mean,
Eddie, obviously moving on, yesterday evening it came to light that Conor Benn had relinquished his licence on the 21st of October. I just want to get your thoughts as to why there was a delay in announcing that. Obviously you did a number of interviews yesterday, but that wasn't mentioned.
Yeah, I wasn't part of the hearing or that process. I believe the hearing was of that day. They were still talking to the board about the process and how that was going to be announced and how that would play out. I can't talk on that. What I can tell you is that the misconduct charges that were brought by the board to Conor Benn were not in relation to a doping ban. And he felt that it was outrageous and it was unfair, and he would not be given the opportunity to have a fair trial in that instance. And that's important to note because everybody presumes that the misconduct charges were in relation to a doping ban. They weren't. He wants to take his argument and his defence to a higher level, and you will see a number of interviews tomorrow in the national media and in front of a number of broadcasters as well, where he will give you all the information and explain himself. It's a fight that he's undertaking himself. I'm his promoter, I do his fights. I'm not his press officer or his manager, but we support him. We weren't involved in that process at all, but that's the situation, and that'll all be outlaid tomorrow.
What are the misconduct charges about, Eddie, if it's not to do with...
As I told you, the misconduct charges are not in relation to a doping ban, and it was a financial charge which he felt and his lawyers felt were completely unreasonable. One thing to make clear as well, he didn't renege his licence. He didn't renew his licence. His licence had expired and chose not to. He has the chance, by the way, to apply for that licence once he's cleared his name. But he was not prepared to undergo that process on the basis of the misconduct charges, not in relation to a doping ban. And again, it's his fight, Andy. I can't, I don't represent him. I wasn't at the trial. I wasn't on the call. I wasn't at the hearing. I'd heard about what he might do. This is his fight. We support him, and you're going to hear from him tomorrow.
So there's no chance, Eddie, that we see him try to take up a licence with a different board away from British Boxing?
Yeah, but only after he clears his name. This is 100% not a move to say, right, well, he could go and get a licence tomorrow, Andy, with 50 commissions worldwide. You can't do that, in my opinion. Conor Benn has to go through a process to clear his name because the public and the media particularly have already decided. Yeah, just like they decided other people before that were guilty, who were proved innocent. So until that process is undertook, he, in my opinion, shouldn't be allowed to get back in the ring. He has to go through that process. It's going to be painful. But whether it's not guilty, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever it's going to be, that process has to be undertook. And if he receives a ban, he has to play out that ban. But he must be heard, and he wants to take it to a level where he believes he'll get a fair hearing.
Just one final one, because we do have to wrap this up. There were reports a couple of weeks ago of a second failed test. Can you enlighten us as to what that was about, if that's true?
Conor Benn's, all the information comes out in his interviews tomorrow. There's a lot of reports that have been untrue. He wants to clear his name, and we'll give him the opportunity to do that. And you should give him the opportunity to do that. He's going to get in front of ID Boxing, I'm sure, probably next week. But it's time for him to speak up. And I don't want to pass the buck. I'm the promoter of the show, but ultimately Conor Benn has to face the music. He's ready to do that, and he's ready to try and clear his name.
Eddie, thanks for beating me in ID Boxing.
Cheers, mate.